Welcome to Worlds Collide, a wrestling card podcast for wrestling fans by wrestling fans, featuring Tony Vella from WrestlingTradingCards.com.
This is like a stock market.
And Zhan Morning from Wrestling with Cards on YouTube. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, I'm just posing the question. Join them as they navigate the world of wrestling cards, helping you build a bigger and better collection and making some money along the way. What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to Worlds Collide with me, Zhan Morning from Wrestling Trade. I almost worked for the wrong website here. Wrestling with Cards on YouTube.
And I'm Tony Vella with WrestlingTradingCards.com.
Pretty soon it's going to be Tony Vella with Wrestling with Cards and me with.
Yeah, we'll just pass it. It's all the same, man. As long as we're educating, that's all I care about.
That's what we're here to do, is just educate and have fun. So today we're going to talk about modern wrestling cards, and there's a lot of different ways to go about this. So just to start things off, we've touched about this on a few past episodes and a few other videos. What's your just overall opinion of modern wrestling cards before we start breaking it down?
I like technology, and I like what they do with stuff. I've always been a fan of Chrome. And back when I used to collect Star Wars cards and other things besides wrestling, I love the finest stuff. So I'm so excited to see finest designs. I think overall most designs are pretty cool looking. Actually, they're really cool. I interviewed someone on my channel that dropped this morning that does card designs, and he's such a talented guy. There's guys like him out there making these things. These things are amazing looking. I think they look really cool. Leaf stuff, just honestly, I love the collection. I love it all like that. I'm just not sold 100% on that kind of design.
Yeah, I'm a big Leaf fan, actually, which is cool that we're going to have conflicting opinions on that. We'll get into that in a minute. So I'm also a fan of all of the shiny stuff, finest Chrome. I think WWE this year, and well, I guess it would be 2020, but they're coming out with the 2021 set for Chrome that I saw not too long ago. I think they're doing a really good job. We've got the fully loaded set supposed to be coming out, which is, from what I've seen, all patches and autos, pieces of tables, pieces of like the little border thing, whatever that's called, that goes around the microphone. There's like pieces of that are included. And of course,
what's the price point going to be on that?
I can't find it anywhere because it was supposed to come out in 2020 and it got delayed. And that's I've seen just a basics like sell sheet kind of thing, but no pricing. The big thing on that for me, once again, is the Vince McMahon on-card autos that are going to be included in this, just like Transcendent. Like, just kind of as a side note, personally, everybody wants to go after the Hogan 82 All-Stars. I honestly think there's any of the Vince McMahon on-card autos that we've seen in the past 2 years could eventually get to that. I mean, I'm looking at them a lot, and I can't find them for under $1,000 raw.
Yeah, they're tough. I started looking at those too. So I have a card, not trading card related like that from the raw deal game, that I was fortunate enough to actually get him to sign one.
That's awesome.
Like that. But I have one. I don't know if I want to part with it, but it's not an official card, but it's a trading card, that I had done, and it looks awesome.
So with the more modern stuff, I mean, we have our own opinions on modern wrestling and modern print runs, stuff like that. So let's just, first off, I guess, how do you think that they differ from, say, all right, so whether it's Leaf, whether it's the indie sets, whether it's Tops, compare those to, say, like, what do you compare those to, like 95 main event, 87 Tops, the stuff that we grew up on?
Well, it depends on how modern you want to talk about. I mean, if you're just talking about the last few years, there's a lot of new stuff that they've done. So the designs on Top stuff, I think overall generally is pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of some of the NXT action shot stuff they've done. Like the 2019 set wasn't very appealing to me.
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
I thought the card stock itself too was kind of a little weak.
I've heard that.
I think the 2021 they put out like that is a vast improvement. But a lot of times too, they put out, a lot of times they don't reinvent the wheel. So a lot of modern day cards don't differ a whole lot from the past. They borrow things by doing heritage sets and things like that. And a lot of these indie cards are borrowing stuff. They do, like the PWG stuff uses like the championship marketing look and things like that.
Yeah.
So they kind of sometimes it ain't broke, why fix it? And it's people kind of like that nostalgia stuff. Like, hey, I'm going to put a modern day star on some cool classic looking design.
Which that's something we'll touch on with the indie and the homemade sets. I guess comparing the two, I feel like there's a lot cooler chase cards. So we've touched personally and on our videos about how what exact autos were in that 95 main event set. What autos were in the 98 comic images. Some we know, some we don't. Well, pretty much with Topps putting these out, like what you're getting, so you can try to chase those down, and they're going to be legitimate.
I can't wait till we start talking about those autographs. Because I have a lot of info and a lot of stuff to talk about those.
Yeah, that's gonna be good. But I actually like modern wrestling cards more than I like the older wrestling cards. But my level of interest on the talent and it's all again nostalgia for me. So if I go out and I love Charlotte Flair, and so I buy some of her cards. But then there's a lot of other really good talent. I'll just use um we'll say Big E and Kofi Kingston. Sure, they're good wrestlers, but I don't really care about their cards, and that doesn't make me want to go watch them wrestle. We've talked in the last episode about how maybe the AEW cards that Upper Deck's going to put out may make me want to start watching them even more, which I already have been just on the rumor of the cards. We don't even have them yet, and I've started my interest level in AEW has picked up. So maybe, and I'll tell you right now, Brian Cage, that's my guy. That guy is like even more jacked up Brock Lesnar that's even more athletic. I mean, this guy's nuts.
It's funny you say like that it makes you want to go and watch the product. It does remind me of being a kid and having my baseball cards and make me want to watch a game and pulling my baseball cards out and going, oh, the Angels are playing against the Yankees. So Thurman Munson's up. I have his card. And, it's kind of that feeling.
Yeah, and that's what I did with back in the day with wrestling cards, so all cards, and that's what modern sports cards. I'm such a big fan of trying to tell people to look at wrestling cards through the sports card lens. They attach themselves to a player because it's their favorite team or they believe in it. Well, maybe AEW is your favorite, so you attach with certain people within that organization. You want to keep supporting them. At the pay-per-views, maybe it elevates their card values or popularity, or maybe there's a new on-demand print service. We have the Topps Now. So there's just all different kinds of cool stuff that I think wrestling cards can lean into in the modern aspect that can still kind of bring you back the nostalgia or get you back into modern product. Anything on that?
Or even getting somebody in it for the first time. When I actually spoke with I have a segment on my YouTube channel about people who collect wrestling but don't collect wrestling cards.
Yes, which go back and check that out. I watched that show when I watched that video was up on your channel. I was like, nothing against that guy. I was just like, wow, I'm really surprised people do not know wrestling cards exist.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a successful store now. It's been going on its 7th or 8th year now, and he didn't even know that cards even existed until he opened his store. And now, but since that episode, he has over 30 different Daniel Bryan cards he's gone out and collected now.
Yeah, I got a hold of him instantly. I don't know if I told you this. I got a hold of him instantly. I'm like, hey, I have a bunch of Daniel Bryan. I will send them to you for just not too much over the price of just shipping them to you. Mm-hmm. And he loved them, and I'm hoping that got him started down the road.
I think that you were the first person to reach out to him. I think it got him started just like that. So he's like, yeah, I'm collecting them all the time now.
I think player collections or wrestler collections, whatever you want to call it, I think that's one of the easiest ways to get into wrestling. Who do you like? Go for it, and then just start tracking down all the rare stuff and putting that together. But you got anything else to touch on as far as nostalgia?
You tie that into modern wrestling cards like that. How does that really affect somebody who's getting into the hobby for the first time and going, wow, I can't get that one of one because it's what I want. That
you start with the base card.
You just start with the base, you think?
Yep. Prime example of that. There's a guy that's awesome on Instagram. I communicate with him quite a bit at Drake's PC. He's a big sports card guy, but he also understands wrestling and other aspects of the hobby. I found out I want to say she's 4. He's got a really young daughter, and she watched him. I don't know if it was a live break or he just opened some packs, or maybe no. Maybe it was he got a Ric Flair 82 All-Stars, maybe something along those lines. She saw him opening cards or getting cards, and she started asking questions. Next thing I know, he mentioned something about how she was interested in women's wrestling. I just got a stack of women's wrestling cards. I pulled my listings down off eBay and just sent it to him, and she was just, and I sent her like a relic and some parallels and rookie cards. So just
Nice.
inexpensive stuff to just kind of get her started. You know what I mean? And I think that's the perfect way to start.
Doing that at home with my 2-year-old, soon to be 2-year-old. So he gets all my damaged cards that are damaged.
Yep.
Because he's not old enough to really appreciate them so he can do whatever he wants with them. But he loves to take them out of his little holders like that, put them back in the holder, look at them, like that. Oh, so just kind of getting him used to handling cards.
Yep. Yeah. That's and we'll get into that. That's another episode we can do at another time. Is just how to get started and where to go. But let's start off with Topps. Topps has the exclusive rights to all the WWE cards. What do you think? Just overall.
Oh boy, overproduced. I mean, which is not something that is technically new for them, because they just have too many. They overproduce a lot of stuff. They produce a lot of things, but it's that they have too many different releases, I think. And for me, like some of these, I think can be possibly combined. Like Topps now is a great example of that. Why I think they can just take NXT and Road to WrestleMania and make those Topps Now type releases. Yeah,
I'm still seeing Topps the Raw set from in fact, just today while I was at the store, I saw Raw 2000. I think it's 18. And the 2018 Road to WrestleMania blaster box is still on the shelf. But there was some Chrome and some Finest left, but you could tell people had purchased those. These crates that had the Raw and the Road to WrestleMania, they're still completely full. No one's touched them.
Wow.
I mean, you could hit an auto in there, but again, you can go buy whatever auto you want on eBay for like $20 right now out of that. So
sure.
That's the point.
Yeah, I get it. That's my top big thing with Topps is that I think it's really mass produced, but that's always been the case with them, even since the 70s. Really, it has been. I mean, probably even before then, but back then when they would dump product, you'd find those boxes with the black mark across them. You know, it's dump product. I mean, Star Wars was dumped, for crying out loud. I mean, there's a couple of boxes of some old, there's some 87 or 85 and 87 Topps up there with boxes up on eBay.
Yeah.
That, you know,
have that black mark. Yeah.
But then too much.
I think though, like, don't you? I don't know that I have numbers to back this up, but if you want to compare like 80, I think just wrestling in general, it's overproduced to us, but I think it's still underproduced in the grand scheme of things.
You got to produce tailored to your market, I guess. I mean, you're not gonna.
And that's the thing that is still like hard for me to, like, I understand wrestling is not on the same page as baseball or basketball.
No.
But I still don't like. We've talked about how I don't understand how the fandom of wrestling fans, like, I've always been into cards. I'd rather have cards than T-shirts because T-shirts are going to wear out. They have really, I guess if you hang on to them long enough, they have some resale value. But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it all has collectability in some way, shape, or form. I mean, there's guys who collect T-shirts, they never wear them. It's just like guys in sports who collect jerseys. It's just trading cards as a whole, and I think in every genre, maybe I'm wrong, but in my experience, I think in every genre of whatever it is that you collect in a trading card format, whether it be sports, whether it be wrestling, non-sports, porn, I don't care what it is, because they make those cards. I think it's the least common collectible of everything. People collect jerseys, they collect actual memorabilia, they collect magazines, they collect action figures, but trading cards somehow always seems to fall on the bottom. And I
least
think
collectible, and it seems to be some of the most valuable.
Correct, which is weird. So, but I think this last year plus, since COVID hit, I think this last year plus, I think people are really truly starting to find the value in these things now. That these things actually hold some really good value. So I'm liking seeing people come into the hobby and getting into it like that. And if it's the modern stuff they want to get into, great. The modern stuff could be a gateway to like the old stuff too.
Right, and the modern stuff you can still find on the shelves, as opposed to if you're a sports fan, you can't hardly find any of that stuff right now. In fact, and a lot of Pokemon is even flying off the shelf, so you pretty much have wrestling, so why not?
Now, but we also have modern stuff like Leaf. Where if I'm a collector, I can't find that at Target and Walmart.
Yeah, and let's just go ahead and jump into Leaf. Well, I'll go back to Topps for a minute. What's your favorite set? Like, what's the favorite thing you've seen Topps put out?
Recently or all time?
No, just recently.
Just recently, I really like the Chrome and Finest.
Yep, same.
I
Chrome and
I,
fine. I
I, I
liked it better than Undisputed too.
and for me to even, I haven't even held a finest card in my hand yet, just from the images I've seen online. But I cracked a box of Chrome, and granted, I wasn't the best box break on the planet. I still really appreciate it because they're really beautiful looking cards.
Yep. Yeah, all the colors and shininess and the autographs look really cool. And
And
then,
if I had to do parallels, that's kind of the way you want to do parallels. I know
mhm,
there's a couple of guys that want me to talk about doing a release breakdown on the YouTube channel, talking about the 2010 Platinum, because they had really beautiful
yeah,
parallels that really popped. When you do them
yep.
that way, totally get it. Totally get it.
And a little bit of a side note, I understand why it seems like wrestling fans more than anybody that collect cards are completists. We've talked about that. They want the complete sets. So if you're dealing with parallels, it's just a headache to deal with. I, on the other hand, don't want anything to do with base cards. I want parallels. I want them as little production as possible because that's where the money is. And
Yep.
a lot of this stuff I buy for personal collection, but I also like to flip the stuff to buy the bigger stuff. And I think it's just easier to park your money on something that there's only 25 made of as opposed to entire base set. I'm with you though. Chrome and Finest are my favorite sets. I really like Transcendent, but it's just out of almost everyone's price range. Do you like Transcendent from what you've seen?
From what I've seen, I agree with you. From what I've seen, it looks like a beautiful product. I've never held it in my hand or any card in my hand from Transcendent, but yeah, it's way out of my price range. I really like to know when that product was actually put together, or the thought process in that. Who was our target demographic?
I think I heard it may have been on your show. I can't remember. I heard somebody say that like one of the big hits in those hobby boxes were tickets to WrestleMania, and it ended up getting canceled. So like you couldn't do it anyway.
Yeah, and it wasn't their first. This is only their second year they've done it, right? This
This is
last
the
year.
second year.
The first year, didn't it come in a Money in the Bank briefcase?
Yes.
Yeah, which is kind of cool, but it ain't worth $13,000.
No. Yeah. Even like if you were going to, I looked at doing a couple of buy-ins for box breaks on those, and I was like, the fact of even a couple $100 for a spot in one of those breaks, like I can just go buy like a PSA authenticated Hogan tops 85 autograph card for that same price. So why would I not want to
Yeah,
go do that? But all right, let's move on to Leaf. I'll let you start off with that one since you have.
I'm on the fence with them. I don't know Brian personally. I've met him at several events. I've done a lot of sit downs with the talent to get those stickers signed for that product. I did the sit down with Jericho. Well, I got that deal done. I sat down with Demolition. I sat down with a lot of different guys to get those done. And don't get me wrong, I like them. I think they're nice cards. I'm not 100% sold on the design, and I know why they do the design.
Mhm.
But it's a great selection. They have an amazing selection of current talent, past talent, overseas talent. It's just I love that variety in that.
Yeah, me too. I think in the past, some of the styles. Well, first off, let me backtrack. Once again, I like Leaf in general on their wrestling because once again, it's all super limited.
Yeah.
Like when your entire card set is nothing but autos, parallels, and serial numbered cards. Like I mean, yeah, you're going to pay more and you get less in a box, but it seems like a safer place to put your money. The early on cards, I thought the artwork was like, but the 2020 ones, for some reason, I'm really digging them. Have you checked
I've
out many
seen
of those?
those, and it's a vast improvement over their first ones they put out. Because
The
those first ones they put out were the ones I worked on with getting the stickers
oh,
done.
okay. So I wasn't sure if you had done some of the more.
I haven't again, someone who's getting back into it after so many years of being out of it. I haven't collected any of that. I actually have a few unsigned ones that I've gotten from people I sat with.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
I have a couple of different the two different variants of Scott Steiner. I have a couple of the Demolition ones. I have anybody I sat down with and just went through to verify, and sign off on that paperwork that I verified it. I have unsigned ones of those.
That's cool. Um, Yeah, the 2020 set I think is a lot better. It actually has one of my favorite Ric Flair cards. I don't know if you've seen it. It was one of my top 5 cards. I did a video of my top 5 cards of 2020, and it was on there. I forget it was like Defiance or something like that, but it's got Ric Flair on it, and there's like several parallels, like 1 of 1, 2 of 2, 5 of 5, very small amounts.
Yeah.
And it's like a clear card with him standing like this, and it looks like he's yelling right at you from the
I haven't seen that
like
actually.
Yeah, it takes me right back to watching like Jim Crockett Promotions 1986. Like it's
Nice.
just him screaming at you with that hair and the glasses and everything. And once again, that's what this is all about,
And
is like sending you back.
how's 2020 holding in value for that release?
Those again, those lower, like if it's 10 or less on the print runs, even guys like I'll use Goldberg, like over $100 for like
Okay.
a out of 10. You know, that's one thing
Do
I
you
saw sold.
find with this modern stuff and the way they print it out so much, and every release has a one of one of this person, a one of 10 of this person, a one of X, and they each release they put them out. Do you find that are these going to go up in value at all?
Yes. There are people that like, let's see, what was it? It was Finest, actually. I saw a guy, I can't remember who it was, but he put out several tweets. He's like, hey, if you have these super refractor 101s, get a hold of me. I'm buying all of them. So I'm like,
Nice.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't even like see, like me, I would only want certain people that I would be a fan of buying the superfractors for either personal collection purposes or to flip.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I want all of them.
I
Like
want all of
even
them because
like,
then I control the market.
yeah, exactly. So so yeah, I think now you do get into the like printing plates. Like I like them, but you have multiple one of one printing plates to make up the color for the base card.
It's always four.
Yeah. So maybe I don't know. It's always interesting, but still, like hypothetically, a printing plate, it goes for $50. Let's just say.
Man,
What do you think the base card would go for? Like not even a dollar,
not even a
possibly.
dollar.
Yeah. So that's why
I
I
mean,
don't.
you're taking the base cards. I mean, when I had a booth at Frankenstein Collectible Show in California, that'd be something that'd be easy for me to put on my booth. I'd put a little display with like a card sorter and put all my favorite stars, the best stars up there, and put various
Mhm.
cards up there. And dollar, a dollar a piece. Six for $5, something like that kind of thing. And that would be a nice little way to recoup my money on the investment I put in that products like that while I'm selling base sets and then the higher end stuff I pulled. But yeah, online, you're lucky to get 99 cents.
Yeah, and I think base cards still have a place in the hobby, whether you're a
Sure.
set collector or whether you're just getting into cards. Like when I was and even some of the old stuff like 85, 87 tops, 98 or 88 Wonderama, like all there are base cards and like error or variant cards.
Mm-hmm.
So just depends on what you're collecting.
And some guys like on a little side note for that, I had a guy when I had a booth there at Frankenstein's that bought. I gave him two complete sets of Championship Clash,
Oh yeah.
and what he did, he was an artist. He would take a razor blade on the one card and then cut out one of the sets, cut things out of it, and then make it into a 3D card
That's
layered on top of
awesome.
the other card. So he made me a whole 80 card set of Championship Clash, all done in 3D.
That's actually that's something that's picked up too. Is in I've actually seen a lot of wrestling melded with modern sports cards, where they kind of do card art and
Yeah.
cutting pieces out. Which we'll get into that in a minute. But I guess if you don't, do you got anything else on Leaf before we move on?
No, I mean Leaf is I should get more into it now, I guess, and go after some things that I might be interested in. But I don't know. I like them. I do like them.
Yeah,
I like the selection they have of current and legends like that. I like it.
I think it's a great selection of current indie guys that don't have big deals, don't have cards with AEW yet, and they're not on the WWE roster.
Yep.
Like Brian Pillman Jr. That's a prime example that just comes to mind right off the bat. If you're a big fan of him and you want to support his indie work, and there's kind of your representation of that. But I like the fact that they put out a set that's just all autos and all numbered cards, no matter what. Like your base set is all autographs. Like
Yep.
that's just super awesome to me. And I
Yep.
know it costs more, and they're people, it might not be as readily available, but it just seems like a
Surprisingly, cost less.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the money I learned a long time ago from the guys at Comic Images when they had the license. I was really deep with those guys. And I come to find out that they spent most of their man hours, when you start breaking down a release, most of the man hours and time spent and going back and forth with them, WWF, was always about base set cards. Yeah, you're paying talent to sign cards. There's that fee as well. But the time when you start adding it all up, the real investment was making base cards, of getting the designs right, getting it approved by the company, airbrushing out Levi's off the pants, airbrushing that Coke can out of the damn thing. All that stuff had to be put into play to make a base set card.
And I actually think that's a perfect transition to our next topic, which is going to be interesting. We're going to do a whole another episode that kind of goes into this, but Tony, I will turn it over to you with indie and homemade sets. We were talking about technology earlier. Well, here's where it kind of takes a turn.
Yeah, technology has made things quite interesting nowadays when it comes to the hobby, I think, both good and bad. Good because, as myself, I've got my own trading card coming out here pretty soon with the Kevin Nash card, you know.
Which you can
Uh,
still get as of this time at
yep,
wrestlingtradingcards.com.
yep, you sure can. It's a limited amount left, but it's a good and bad thing. Um, it's good because I like it from the indie standpoint. It's a really cheap marketing ploy for indie companies to get their talent over or make them their promotion over. And it's not because we live in a world now with the internet and having eBay and other places you can sell things. I don't have to be in Indiana to go and meet some sort of wrestling show there. I can get it online. Like there's a trading card set from some indie place in Indiana, Indiana. Um, it makes it easy that way. I like that. What bothers me is homemade cards and getting away from touching people's IP rights.
Yeah. Yep. I'll touch on the indie stuff real quick. Some of my favorite ones I've seen come out, the Joey Janela Spring Break ones. I don't know if you've
Nice
seen
looking set.
those.
Love it.
The Game Changer Wrestling has put out several sets. The AEW, well, it's not actually labeled as AEW, but it's all in the very first show. Those sets were cool, and they were kind of original designs for the most part. But then there's other ones that are just blatantly ripping off like 86 Flair basketball or 91
Oh,
championship marketing with the
yeah.
Bola PWG set. And
Oh, they also
my
did it. They took the Impel set too and did that as well.
yeah, that's another one. And my problem with that is it's cool to see that, but it's also going to confuse collectors who don't know any better. If they're just getting back into the hobby, but they're a modern wrestling fan, they could pay whatever price they could. And I know it's like free market capitalism, all that stuff.
Sure.
You can do what you want, but like, I don't know. I just think education is the most important thing we can do for this section.
I agree with you. I had an interesting conversation with card designer. I just dropped that episode today, as a matter of fact, and we talked about there's the creator of something, then you have the second party, there's a third party. What happens to the fourth party person though? So
Yeah,
if I'm taking a product and taking an image like that, I make a trading card out of it, and I turn around and I give it away. Like that first PWG card set that came out, he made them and gave them away. He gave them away. He didn't charge anything for them. But then those guys who got them at the event turn around and put them on eBay. Now they're making money.
right.
So I mean, where does the line get drawn there? It's like that. And again, we have a whole different show, I'm sure, plan about that. But it's just, I guess we make them till they get caught.
Yeah, I think, and I think you can do a little bit more from a, I guess, fan and buyer perspective. It could be a little bit safer to buy indie stars because chances are it's a legitimate thing, even if they're ripping off designs that me and you are not a fan of. Like I like original designs a lot more. But I think if you're doing that as a fan, you're like, oh well, they're not signed to WWE, they're not signed to AEW, or maybe they are, but they have this other card that was before their time. Like that's cool. I want to own that. If it's $100, it's $100.
Yeah.
But I think, and we'll save this for our counterfeit episode, but I think that's where you're going to get into the real problem with spending money on essentially fakes. And these aren't really fakes. They're just, there's a lot of like IP property issues with those.
Correct. That's what it ends up being is that all about that. And when you start making if you're a promoter and you're out there trying to put your talent over and want to get yourself known as a promoter or that promotion, yeah, trading cards is a great, cheap, affordable way to do it. And you can raise money for your organization, I guess, and make people know who you are. But when you start using, and I don't mind even them using old designs too. I think it's a nice,
Right.
I think it's flattering. It's a nice compliment to like, hey, that's pretty cool. I'm going to make something like that because I like that design.
Right.
But when you start getting into taking someone who is, say, that image is owned by WWE from their video library or something like that, and then making into cards, like that's a gray. I mean, it's a huge gray area there now. And as somebody who knows from the raw deal side, a little bit about C&Ds, I mean, it's just you're walking a really fine line there, and I think it's important that collectors do their homework to find out, is this a legit card set? Did it really come from the promotion? Did someone print it at home on their copier on their printing machine?
That's yeah, and that's a big thing too. Like like I kind of touched on a few different topics here. I don't really like base cards, as I was saying, but if I know that there is an indie set out, I'm probably gonna buy it if there's someone in there I'm interested in. Because even though it might be just a plain card, no autograph, no number, no nothing, there's pretty good chance there's not hardly any of those out there. And a prime example of that, and I'm going to shout out Chuckster here. He DM'd me about this information. I guess there was only it was like the mid to high 200s made of the NWA Power
just
Series 1.
Mention that too. It's 260
yeah,
sets.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
Like that's next to, that's as good as having numbered parallels or whatever, because there's just such a limited number of them. And those were very professionally done. I did a box break video on my channel covering that. They had the plastic seal, so if you're getting it, it's not been tampered with, it's not opened. And a lot of these others, they're just kind of sold as singles, or they're sold kind of loose in a box. So you just got to be very careful when you're looking at these. I see pros and cons to both sides.
I talked about it with Chuckster, again, another shout out to him. And that's kind of his focus. Him and Paul from Wrestling Price Guide. Some of their focus, their main focus, is just collecting independent stuff, because there's so much of it out there. And it's not just modern stuff either. There's a lot of old independent stuff that came out years ago, even in the 90s.
The one that I've kind of had my eye on that I can't ever find, and I've never even seen it. I know I've seen all the cards, but I can't. Actually, there's two, and one of them kind of ties into what we're talking about, using IPs that you're not supposed to. The first one is at Mid South 93.
Yeah, Untouchables.
Yep, that's it. Yep, there's that one. Those are super cool cards. The other one is, I know I've hounded you about this one, is the Japanese ECW 9-card set.
I got that one. just the one. Rob Van Dam.
There is just
Raven.
There's just no information about those out there, but we know they exist. And
I hope to have some information for you next week about those. That's all I'm going to say about my guest.
Yep, we won't say anything. And again, we're not going to say anything now. Even if you're listening to this 2 years from now, you can go back and find out what surprise guest we were talking about. But what else do you want to touch on the indie set? And
if you tie it all together, it's like that with Indie, Flair, Leaf, and Tops. Those are your main things right there, I guess. I like the indie stuff myself. It's easy to complete. That's what I was trying to talk about with Paul and Chuck's a little bit, is that they're after those because they can complete it. It's a buy it, you're done. I don't have to go about chasing anything else. It's done. So I get that, and I like that. And with the market, the industry, I guess wrestling as a whole, people are getting called up all the time, getting plucked from here and put in development over here. So you just never know if you're buying some set that contains the next big star, and you just never know. So there's that kind of collectability to it, I guess, too.
Yeah, my thing with that is I think the promotions need to do a better job at their production runs and promotion of the cards. I'll go back to NWA Power. I did not see hardly any promotion for these cards. Maybe one or two commercials, maybe one or two social media posts, and then trying to find out where these print runs came from. Nobody could tell me anything. No, I tried to reach out to some people. I didn't get any answers. Thanks to Chuckster for getting that information. We always can count on him, apparently. But I just think the companies need to do a better job on promotion, print runs, because even if I see that, hey, we're only going to do 100 of this set, even if I'm not as interested in the promotion, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to pick it up just because of how limited it is. And then it might make me then a fan of that promotion.
And they're so they're so affordable. So it's
right. Yeah.
I can throw, $15, $30, whatever it's going to be. It's really never more than $30, I think, when it first comes out. And it's okay, it's a small investment. Either I get my money back on it eventually someday when I want to get rid of it because nothing in it I like anymore, or you get some big star in there. You never know.
Yeah, and we have to rely on your website, WrestlingTradingCards.com, to get these slabbed, but I've actually seen some of the all-in cards. I've seen some of the Joey Janela Spring Break cards in slabbed, and they grade them just like they would any other cards, and they look fantastic. So
are they autographed?
No, not the ones I've seen.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. If you get them autographed, they'll authenticate it, put it in the
Correct.
slab, and
Yep.
you're good to go. So I mean, there's like the indie cards that are legitimately put out by the independent federations or like high spots or something. I think those are fantastic. I like those better than I don't, from a design standpoint, I like the look of the Tops stuff with Chrome and Finest. But from an overall collectability standpoint, I like the indie stuff better if there's people in there that I'm into.
Are you going after a lot of indie stuff?
Definitely. I ordered when the NWA announced it. I was like, I've got to have at least. I think I ordered 3 sets. I broke one. I've got 2 sealed. And Nick Aldis and Zicky Dice were the 2 guys. I was like, I got to have their cards. It's the first Zicky Dice card that I know of. Some people, unless you keep up with NWA or Indies, like might not know him as well. But then there's
is that stuff sold out?
The NWA.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. They only had them for like. They would do as many print runs. It was like print to order,
Okay.
but they only did it for like 3 weeks, and then once that was up, they're done. They're not doing. And I was like, it was super easy to go onto their website, order them. Didn't have any issues. I just wish they would have supplied the print run after the fact.
I wish I would have got them, but I didn't.
I did miss out on. I've seen some of the Game Changer Wrestling and Joey Janela stuff. There were times where I saw that stuff on eBay for really cheap, and I was like, man, I really want to get this, but like I was also looking at a lot that had like, 4 of the Comic Images Rock cards in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, if I get those graded, that's probably going to be a better investment. And
yeah,
like, I wasn't so much of a fandom of either one. I just had to go where the market was going to dictate, you know what I mean? But who knows, like 10 years from now, maybe that Spring Break set or Game Changer Wrestling, whatever, is like the new 82 All-Stars because it was such limited print.
Highly unlikely, sir.
You never know. You never know. I'm always trying to think outside the box on all this market stuff, and you never know where it can take us.
Are you going to be buying any new stuff like coming out at all? Or you don't buy any boxes anyways like that, so it's very rare for you to buy a box.
I buy boxes, but I don't break them. I'll keep them sealed and then flip them later, or just keep them sealed because it looks cool, because it reminds me like I'm in a local card shop myself. I've done a couple of box breaks. You can go check those out on my channel, but I'm mainly into singles because so much of the modern wrestling stars, even AEW, like there are just so many modern stars that like they're talented, they're awesome, but I don't know, like I don't necessarily want to collect them. Now that could change, but like for the recent release of Chrome and Finest, I was all in on Undertaker and The Rock, because I know their cards sell. Yep. And I was looking at refractors, X-fractors, parallels, numbered cards, all that good stuff. So that's what I was looking at in the new ones. But then and I've been kind of looking at the Charlotte ones just because they're so cheap, and I like Charlotte. But then there's other like Street Profits or like Heavy Machinery, or I like Becky Lynch, but even Becky Lynch, like I don't collect her, so I don't go after it. So I'd like to buy sealed product and sit on it, flip it, keep it because it looks cool. Because I mean, look now, if you have a sealed box of like 88 Wonderama, like how cool does that look just sitting there?
Don't even talk to me about that. I had a box. I had a box forever and a half, and I just, different times of your life, man, got to get rid of stuff sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, that's another topic for another show too. Is when to let go, because it's tough sometimes collecting.
It is. Life dictates what you have to keep and what you can't keep.
Absolutely. Anything else on the modern cards before we get out of here?
Nah, that's pretty much good.
Yeah, I just got to say, like, if you are into any of this stuff, just give it a shot, no matter what it is. Everybody likes different things. Everybody likes to buy at different price points, and kind of whether you want to invest or set collect, there's so many ways to do it, but there's a lot of wrestling cards.
No wrong way to collect, man.
Nope, there's not. And there's a ton of wrestling cards out there, and that's what we're here to do, is educate you on them, hopefully steer you in the right direction of what you want to collect and where you want to put your money. So
absolutely.
Until next time, I'm Zhan. That's Tony. Yeah. Tony, tell them where they can check you out at.
They can check me out all over the place. Just search WrestlingTradingCards.com. That's all you have to do. Everything is there.
You can check me out at eBay as I'm scrolling no, I'm just kidding. Wrestling with Cards on YouTube, and just at Zhan Morning all over social media. Until next episode, thanks for listening. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. See you later.